Fox Valley in Focus. I'm your host, Barb Nadeau, and on today's show we have two guests. Kyle Wallis is here from the Sandwich Lions Club to talk about a very special holiday tradition, the Franklin Mall Christmas Project. And Joel Frieders, Alderman from the city of Yorkville, will talk to us about his efforts in suicide prevention. We'll get started in just a moment.
I love taking care of my mom. It wasn't easy at first. She learned how to better communicate her needs.
And you learned how to not ignore yours.
I discovered how to make healthier meals.
And I discovered how much I enjoyed them.
Becoming a caregiver is a learning experience for everyone. Find articles, tips, and tools from experts and others who have been in your place. The Caregiving Resource Center at aarp.org/caregiving.
Our first guest today is Kyle Wallis. Kyle, thank you for coming. It's always a pleasure to have you here on our show, and I'm thrilled to hear about the Franklin Mall Project because it's such a sweet story. I wondered if you could tell us a little bit about the story of the Franklin Mall Project.
Well, the way I've got it, and I hope I've got the story correct, is that back in the 50s, later 50s, my grandfather was working for Oatman Dairy, and he's an inspector, and he would drive around the different dairy farms inspecting the milk and the milk products. And the Oatman Dairy would give him gas money to do that, to reimburse him, and he would save that extra gas money all year, and he would buy groceries for the needy people that he knew that needed some help, especially around the holidays. And he did that for years, and he was also a charter member of the Sandwich Lions Club. He helped start it, and he brought it to the attention of the Sandwich Lions Club and my father, Ron Wallis, and said, "Can you help me? I've got too much going on. It's too many packages to get, too much food for me to handle." So they took it over. They accepted it as a food project at Christmas time. And after Grandpa passed away, they called it the Franklin Mall Food Project. And it has just grown ever since. And every year we collect from the public, the schools, and 22 locations in the City of Sandwich School District, food boxes that people just donate, and we collect them and put them all together and deliver them a couple weeks before Christmas time, so people would have some extra food that they needed. The people that we know that needed it could have some extra food at that time. And the monetary aspect is good. The people are so kind at that point, and they help us out with. We have a gift certificate from the local from Arts Food Market, and they'll get whatever kind of monetary money we have. We'll split that up that many ways, and give that out with a box of food with it. So it helps the people that really, really need it at that time.
It's an amazing story because I know so many times, and still today, I'll hear, someone will say the Franklin Mall, and they'll say, "Where is that?"
Right.
Not realizing Franklin Mall was
my
a
grandfather,
person,
yes.
an actual person. And your story of him being a delivery person and just driving through the local area, what he saw during those years, from one home to another, what he actually saw really must have touched him for him to realize there was a true need in the area.
He was that kind of person, though. He would help out whoever he could with whatever he could, and my grandma did the same. She would dress up as an elf, and he would dress up as Santa, and he would have it was really amazing. And to this day, we still have Santas deliver, but this is cheer basket. There's two sections to the Franklin Mall Franklin Mall Christmas Project. There is a food box and a cheer basket. We also deliver cheer baskets on Christmas Eve to all the local hospitals and nursing homes. And elderly people in the houses that we know of in town. So it's kind of a
It's an evolving thing.
It's an evolving thing, and it takes a lot of manpower and volunteerism to get it done.
So how many years has this Franklin Mall Christmas project been going on?
I think since 1970-ish. I'm not exactly sure. I was a little young at that point, but I think it was around 1970, 69, 70, 71 is when they officially did it, started that. The Lions Club took it over at that point.
So, and before that, who knows how many years he was doing it all by himself.
Yep.
But you know, you mentioned Santa and an elf showing up at the door. You know, people are very humble, and it's kind of hard to accept charity sometimes. But who can say no to Santa showing up at the door? You know, that Santa makes it okay because you know Santa loves everybody, and it's easy to
and
take a gift from
it
Santa.
touches people. And yes, there are some proud people out there. There's no question, but we try.
Well, you said 22 collection sites
Yes.
for food donations, and these are non-perishable things like a box of macaroni and cheese and some cans of beans or soup or whatever, that kind of thing.
Yes, something that will keep.
If you've got 22 collection sites, you must be giving food to an awful lot of people.
Yeah, there's like 250 to 300 boxes that go out.
So 250 to 300 households in the sandwich
Not
area?
so much that. Some people get a little more, depending on the size of the family. If they got eight people in the family, then they get a couple of boxes. So it's we try to distribute it as evenly as possible. So now the cheer baskets, it's just obviously just a little bit. It's
I'm going to ask you more about that in a minute because this is phenomenal. You know, food collection, the volunteers needed, the cheer baskets, the fact that you can get folks out on Christmas Eve to actually be doing this. You know, the spirit of volunteerism that the Lions Club has really developed in the city of Sandwich is really a story that needs to be told. Let's take a break. We'll come back with all that right after this.
Did you know dragging chains can spark a wildfire?
Only you can prevent wildfires.
I love taking care of my mom. It wasn't easy at first. She learned how to better communicate her needs.
And you learned how to not ignore yours.
I discovered how to make healthier meals.
And I discovered how much I enjoyed them.
Becoming a caregiver is a learning experience for everyone. Find articles, tips, and tools from experts and others who have been in your place. The Caregiving Resource Center at aarp.org/caregiving.
Welcome back. We're talking with Kyle Wallis about the Franklin Mall Christmas Project, which involves so much food collections throughout the city of Sandwich, as well as cheer baskets and cookies and candies. And Kyle, tell us more about this. You are going to be collecting food until what day?
Well, we're going to be collecting food until December 16th.
Okay. All over. It sounds like
All
22
over.
locations.
22 locations, yes.
And you were also telling me during the break that you are taking cash donations as well.
Yes, if you want to help out with a cash donation, the monetary donations, go to the First National Bank in Sandwich there, and they will take care of you. You can speak to, what's her name?
I bet if you just mention Franklin Mall, they'll
Yes,
tell you.
Catherine Bomer will take care of you. She'll take your money if that's what you want to do. And they pack the food boxes at Fire Station in Sandwich on December 19th. So it's Thursday is the pickup, and they pack it on December 19th at the fire station. And they deliver on the Saturday the 21st.
Saturday the 21st.
Yes.
So that weekend, right before the Christmas holiday, how many volunteers do you need?
Well, we've got a few now, and it varies from year to year, but generally we get some Cub Scouts and volunteers that just show up, and that's fine. And that's what we want some people to do. If they feel could help out, it would be packing food would be December 19th. to help out.
I'm
the
all
fire
for that.
station.
I think we need to teach our young people to volunteer. We
Yes.
need more volunteers in this world. Now, you also told me that we're looking for homemade candies and cookies.
Correct. There's a second part, is it's cheer baskets, and we fill a small container, because it can't with cookies and candy, homemade cookies and candy, and we need to fill at least 400 of those up. That's a lot of cookies and candy. So, but we usually have enough, and we pack that at the United Church of Sandwich, 512 Lyons Road, on December 23rd, and at 6 o'clock. And we deliver on the next day, Christmas Eve, on December 24th.
Now, you told me that you actually have Santa doing these deliveries, and
Yes.
he's making 400 deliveries on Christmas Eve. How is
Yes.
that? I know he's magical, but how is that possible?
Well, we separate out into different groups or areas, and some people take care of one area and other people take care of, and we have helpers with that.
Okay, so Santa
So-
has some helpers
Yes,
that
Santa has
will
helpers.
represent him to
Yes.
the different areas.
Yes.
What does it take to be Santa's helper? You got to be a very special person,
Yeah,
I'm
it
sure.
has to be somebody who wants to volunteer to help Santa deliver some cheer baskets in nursing homes and hospitals. And anybody can help. If they want to call me, my number is 815-304-3175, and I'll put you in touch. I'll make sure you can help out one way or another.
That is fantastic. And you know, you can't do something like that without it really touching your heart,
Correct.
changing your heart. You know, you can't go away from an experience like that untouched.
Right,
So it's such a
exactly.
wonderful thing. Now, I wanted to give you a little time to mention some of the other things that the Lions Club does. And I know that Karen Spangler is also
Yes.
the other contact if they're interested in food collection and distribution, if they
Yes.
want to be a volunteer with those big boxes.
Yeah, the big boxes, the food boxes. Karen Spangler is her name, and her number is 815-786-2189, and she can help you with, if you want to volunteer to carry the food boxes around, and you can volunteer for that. That would be fantastic. You can always use help with that.
When does your club meet?
Our club meets the second Wednesday of every month.
Okay.
Pretty much every month. It depends on the if it falls on a holiday, that's a different one. But second Wednesday of every month is when they meet.
And if you were interested in some of the other projects that the Lions Club is doing, or just getting to know this incredible group of people that are doing this Franklin
Right.
Mall Christmas project, would they call you or would they call Karen or?
Either one of us will be fine. We'll both be able to help you out. And if you want to come become a Sandwich Lions, yes, we'll definitely bring you in and show you what happens and how to become a Lion. Absolutely.
Well, I know the Lions Club does a lot of things. When I think of the Lions Club, I think of eyeglasses and hearing aids and even cell phones that you take and
Right.
repurpose
Yes.
to help other people. And I know that, that's a worldwide mission that you
Yes.
have.
Yes, it is. Yeah, and the Lions Club is the world's largest service organization, and we help out in more than just sight and hearing. We help out in obviously many other ways that sometimes you don't even know about. But there are many. We actually do some sight vision testing for school-age children. We'll do that. We'll have the buses come around for hearing and testing. But there are many other things that we put up decorations in the Christmas decorations in town. We do scrap drives for raise money. We do a lot of things for the good of the community.
It's an incredible group to get to know, and when you think about the fact that you're doing, 250 to 300 large boxes, over 400 cheer baskets, and all of these Santas just canvassing the city of Sandwich to do this wonderful project at the holidays, it is such a commendable thing, and I'm so thankful that you came to tell us about it on our show today.
No, thank you, Barbara. I appreciate the opportunity.
Well, we'll take a break, and we're going to come back with Alderman Joel Frieders from the city of Yorkville, and so stay tuned. We have a lot more on our show today. Thank you.
Thank you.
I love taking care of my mom. It wasn't easy at first. She learned how to better communicate her needs.
And you learned how to not ignore yours.
I discovered how to make healthier meals.
And I discovered how much I enjoyed them.
Becoming a caregiver is a learning experience for everyone. Find articles, tips, and tools from experts and others who have been in your place. The Caregiving Resource Center at aarp.org/caregiving.
Did you know dragging chains can spark a wildfire?
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Welcome back. Our guest now is Joel Frieders. He is an alderman with the city of Yorkville, but I want to say so much more, Joel. You have taken your role with the city, and you are trying to make an impact in everyone's life, and I really appreciate you coming to talk to us today. Cool. I want to talk specifically about Hope for the Day.
Yeah. So Hope for the Day was formed in 2011 in Chicago by Johnny Boucher, who is the CEO and founder. He has experienced a number of losses. I think he's at like a list of 16 friends and family that he's lost to suicide in one way, shape, or another, and his goal was to just simply talk about it. And excuse me, when I was starting my own kind of process of healing from the last loss of my friend Mike Malinowski in 2017, I didn't really realize that what Johnny had gone through in 2011 to start the organization and what I was kind of doing independently on my own as an alderman in Yorkville with the National Suicide Prevention Awareness Month proclamation, they were eerily similar, albeit vastly opposite. He was hitting up, music venues with information that people can kind of latch onto, resources, something that's available. Whereas I was just having conversations in city halls around the country. So while they are different, we're still starting conversations. So Hope for the Day is a nonprofit movement that empowers people to start the conversation about proactive mental health, which in turn allows us to kind of be impactful as far as suicide prevention is concerned.
Well, you say, I was just talking to City Hall, and then you did follow up saying we were both just starting to talk about it. But really, that's what it takes, because suicide is something that no one wants to talk about.
Yeah.
And just to be able to have that public forum with a camera in the room, reporters in the room, to say, this community has identified suicide as a problem, that's huge, because it puts that right in the front of every single person in that town.
It does, yeah. And when you have communities that have elected officials that are advocating for just, humanity, we have potholes and we have taxes and we have, EAVs and things that are kind of outside of people's control, but they're still getting yelled at for it. It's also inspiring to see people who are kind of just trying to do their best as elected officials like you and I to just kind of do what's right. And starting a conversation about mental health and suicide is incredibly difficult. So with the NSPAMP, which was that's the acronym, it's a horrible acronym, but it works. With the NSPAMP project, my initial goal in 2017 was just, I'm miserable, I miss my friend, I feel like I should have been doing more while he was alive to let him know that I loved him, so why wouldn't I want to keep talking about it? So 2017 was rough. 27 into 2018 was probably the hardest part of just being an adult so far. But in 2018, that's when I was given the permission by Mayor Gary Glinsky at the time to start my outreach earlier. So in 2017, I basically emailed every elected official I know, and I got 27 communities in 3 different states, 3 counties, and the state of Illinois to talk about suicide officially. In 2018, I hit 234 cities and 20 counties in 40 different states. Wow. And then this year, I ended up, I think it was 84 in 21 different states with 6 counties, and then the state of Illinois just finally adopted a few weeks back. So it's also an election year, so the numbers were slightly lower, but then again, instead of copying and pasting and sending emails all the time, I'm actually going out and interacting with people and getting educated myself. So I think part of my goal when I first started this was just not to be so miserable and sit in my misery. Right. But then as it kind of developed, I realized that there are other people out there just like me who kind of look like me, black t-shirts and tattoos and like to cuss. They're all kind of fighting the same fight, which is nobody really talks about the stuff that sucks. So if we start talking about it and you kind of pull together a little army of people that all have the strength to realize that your vulnerability is one of your greatest strengths. So maybe we can do something about it. And that's where I approached Hope for the Day in 2018, basically just looking for somebody else to talk to about this. Because yeah, sure, I'm doing a bunch of outreach, but I'm not having any conversations really. People are telling me things. I'm a sponge. I mean, I'm soaking up a
Right.
whole bunch of people's grief, but I'm not really getting anything out. So while at the time I was going through counseling and trying to be as upfront as possible with the fact that I have no idea what I'm doing. But then when you realize that every adult on the planet has no idea,
what they're doing.
It's actually kind of
Absolutely.
comforting that we're all just as lost as everybody else.
Well,
but
that's
those who
what-
can admit it are probably a little bit stronger than those who won't.
Well, I kind of laughed when you said, well, we're all walking around with black T-shirt and we all kind of look the same. And you're right.
Yeah.
You're right, because what really gets me is that I think suicide is much more pervasive in our society than we are even aware of. The rates of suicide have just skyrocketed.
Yeah.
I don't even know what the statistic is now, but I want to say that when I was a child, when I was a teen, they used to say that there was never a family that wasn't touched by alcoholism.
Right. Yeah.
Remember those days?
Yep.
I want to say there's not a family in America that has not been touched in some way by suicide at
Yeah.
this point. It's that prevalent.
Yeah, when I first started educating myself on suicide, like the greater image of how it's impacting the entire world, it's 121 people a day. That was the statistic. Well, we just updated some of our statistics with the CDC and the AFSP, and it's 129 a day.
129 people a day
in the
end
US.
their life.
In the U.S., yeah. So, and when you think about that, you've got that big number at the top, right? So 129, but then you've got the number underneath that is 100. So the minimum number of people that is going to be impacted by anyone's suicide is 100 people. Family, friends, neighbors, people that go to school, people that work with you, people that just live in the same community, people that are fans of people. I mean, we lost two incredible talents, with Bourdain and with Kate Spade last year. And everyone has a right to mourn the loss of people that they've never met in person. I mean, it's not like a pain Olympics.
Right.
Like, well, he was closer to me than he was you.
No.
There's no gatekeeping when it comes to mourning someone. But then, so you have those two stats, 129 a day, 100 people minimum impacted. If you do that multiplication, it's pretty devastating.
It is.
But then the most important number is 1, which when we do these teaching slides, it's those 3 numbers, and the number 1 is a little dude, bald head, and that's me. So all I want to do is talk about the stuff that makes me uncomfortable. Because last time I was here, I wasn't this comfortable talking about it, because I think it's not that it gets easier, you just kind of get stronger. And I think that's true with everything. When you realize that it's okay not to be okay, we're all in this together, whether you like it or not. And when somebody has the guts to be vulnerable, you either have to give that person credit or get out of their way.
Let's talk more about this. Let's take a really quick break. We have more coming up with Joel Frieders right after this.
Cool.
Did you know dragging chains can spark a wildfire?
Only you can prevent wildfires.
We're talking about Hope for the Day and trying to stem, pull back, hold back this incredible rate of suicide in our society. Joel Frieders is our guest, and you just shared with us some pretty sobering numbers. It really is very frightening. I lost a dear friend a couple of years ago, and a dear friend right now is reeling from another suicide a couple weeks ago.
I'll give you another hug in a second.
Oh my gosh, it's too much.
Yeah, it's
too
miserable.
much. And
Yeah.
you were saying 129 a day, at least 100 people impacted. Oh my,
person, yeah.
I want to take that number of 100 and increase it to like
Absolutely.
300.
Yeah.
And I think that's so important what you said about about the one, the
Yeah.
little guy, the one individual that's hurting, and there is no contest on how close you were to that person.
Yeah.
But that choice of ending it all is not a choice that it doesn't help
No.
the individual that's ending it all, and it certainly doesn't help anyone else.
Right, which it kind of also starts the conversation. When you do more digging into why people feel the way that they do about talking about suicide, you realize that 90% of our problem is that there's a stigma kind of built into our wiring that keeps that stuff buried. Like I consider myself a recovering Catholic. Like I went to Catholic school my entire life, right? And the thing that always bugged me is the people that were the loudest at telling me how I should live my life were the people that some years later I found out were doing the exact opposite of what they were telling me to do. But had they talked about the things that were driving them to act a certain way with someone they trusted, maybe they wouldn't have gone down that path.
Right. There's brokenness all around us.
But
And
battling that stigma is 90% of my conversations is talking about why do you think that way? And also the language that we use around suicide. We use two words that are very, very damning. Committed suicide or killed themselves. Well, when you ever end up hear me talking about it, I use the word completing suicide or died by suicide, because why would I accuse someone who was in a moment of fury, anger? I have no way of knowing what that person was going through. They completed an act. They felt that was their only opportunity. They felt that was it. They completed an attempt. So to remove the criminality from it means that they're still going to be a human. Like when I think about my roommate from college, he died on May 10th, 2003. And it was Mother's Day. It was a beautiful day. And I remember getting the phone call and being angry. And it wasn't that I was necessarily angry with him. I didn't know what he was going through. But I was angry because I didn't do anything about it, nor did I know about it. So I felt guilty. Right. So instead of pointing my finger at the person who completed the act, I need to kind of just do a better job of being basically a better human to allow more people to realize that I love them. And it's as hippy-dippy as it sounds, that's where I choose to live. I would much rather be able to emote with someone, hey man, I'm not having a good day, and then just get the stuff off my chest versus bottling it up, and then one of these days I'm going to explode.
Are we going to find some of this really good stuff on Hope for the Day? We look you up on Facebook.
Absolutely.
We look this whole concept of how to look at the situation and also how to love the people in our lives.
Absolutely.
That's the, those are the dialogues. That's the language we need. We need more of that.
Yeah, and it's like, so I've been educated myself through this organization to be able to go out and perform education seminars. So whether it's through schools or in front of students or police departments or like I just did a coffee shop a couple days ago with a couple dozen people. It's being able to talk to people frankly and being vulnerable. Like I still cry when I do the presentation because I think about my friends that I've lost, right? But it's the fact that I'm a white, privileged male, heterosexual, and I shouldn't have any reason to be depressed. So now all of a sudden there's gatekeeping because I shouldn't have feelings that you can't necessarily see.
We're putting up too many barriers between ourselves and each other. We're putting up too many, we could go on a whole nother topic and we won't do that. I wanted to ask you before we run out of time, you have a new project called Partners in Prevention. Can you tell us a little bit about that before we run out of time?
Sure. So through Hope for the Day, we're working on kind of partnering with small businesses, large businesses, corporations, cities, police departments, schools, in an effort to not only help them improve their own internal dialogue about suicide and mental health, but more importantly, to help people realize that resources are available, and they're available in a number of different forms, and they're not always intuitively obvious, because it's something that me, like I said, growing up recovering Catholic, I was never really told about, you can go talk to a counselor, but there's a clinician, there's a psychotherapist, there's a psychologist, there's a psychiatrist, there's 1,000 different words that are all based around someone being an ear for you. So if we start talking about the things that suck, maybe they won't drive us into that moment of desperation where we feel that suicide is the only answer. So with the Partners in Prevention, what we're doing is simply asking companies to take a stand with us and have the conversation, be upfront with it. So we do some internal education where I'll come in and speak with the actual employees and the VIPs, whatever you want to call it, or VPs, excuse me. But then we also look at your insurance programs and see where are these employees allowed to go get help instantly. Because I know I've got like the Cadillac of insurance. It took me 7 days and 14 phone calls to find a counselor. That's ridiculous. This
is an incredible opportunity that you're talking about, because in the workplace, there's so much stress there. That's such an opportunity for growth, to make a difference, to make an impact, and that's what we're talking about. I hate to say it, this time goes way too fast, but Joel, it is always a joy to have you on our show.
Thanks for having me back. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for everything you're doing. Those you want to look up Hope for the Day. It's hfdt.org.
hftd.org.
There you go.
Cool.
Thank you so much.
No problem.
And that's going to do it for our show today. I'm so proud to be here for Fox Valley Television, and we'll see you next time.